your own mat out of a bit of burlap, hessian, something like that, something with an open weave, or even a piece of wool like this, something with a very soft weave, preferably not anything as tough as denim and that's really dense, so that it's going to be a lot of pressure for you to get the needles through. Something that's gentle. And inside you can put uncooked rice or recycled wool. This could be an old rug, it could be some carpet underlay. This is recycled wool, which they use in the upholstery trade, which is really good. Or even sometimes you can get those layers of recycled wool. However, when it comes to doing a top layer and you want a bit more of a delicate effect, not so many pock marks, or you're not so certain of what you're doing, you want to be working slightly slower to create your shape, then you want a triangular one because it's not quite so intense at pulling all the wool in together. So a triangle or a twisted for heavy wool, initial shape building, and then when you're wanting to put the detail on, a thinner needle, which would be around a 40 or a 42, and a triangular needle. Okay, I hope that's helpful. Now onto the wool. You can get kits now with all sorts of wool included, but you will ideally need some core wool. This is bouncy, voluminous wool, which you wouldn't use for knitting. It's a bit rough next to the skin. So here I have white and here I have a dark brown. They feel quite coarse, but they have loads of bounce. And they're relatively economical to buy as well. So that's going to be for building up our shape. If I show you how that's going to work. So initially I'm going to be using this needle here, which is my 40 twisted. You could see it just about that it's twisted, so it's going to work quite quickly. And I'm going to be working to make a 2D bird shape. Something a bit like this one. Okay, so it's 2D, which is a very good place to start. And my kits, if you've got one, this is what you'll be making. So we want to build up the shape of this robin first. How do we do that? I've got my basic shape here, and I'm going to put on my core brown wool that I've got. You can work in white or brown, it doesn't really matter. And I'm going to be prodding round like that. Now just go carefully, got some string in there too. So just go carefully round the edge where you want to go. You don't want to be pushing so deep down that you're going right into the mat. There's no point, it's a lot of energy for your wrist. And also you'll find your work is more likely to really adhere and stick to the mat, which you don't want. So I'm just going around with small little prods. If you notice where I'm holding my needle, it is right at the top here, where the bend bit is, where the L is. Now, as I'm doing that, I'm just going up and down. I can come in at an angle like that, but I'm still just going in and out, in and out, in and out with just gentle prods, just so I feel that these barbs here just about go through to the mat. As soon as it gets to the part where there's no barbs, I'm going too far. I don't need to do that. Also, if you hold your needle like a pen, you're doing a bigger wrist movement, more of a bend, which is more tiring. And also the needle tends to bend and break after a while. So if you can avoid that, that's a really good tip. So we're going to go round the shape like this, and I'm going to get it nicely prodded into shape. Now it's very easy at this point to think, oh, this is fun, and get totally carried away. And then half an hour later you think, oh, I've done a lovely design, and you go to take it away and you can't. It's stuck to the mat. So every now and again, tell yourself lift and pull it up like that, because at the early stages it's really easy. So round I go. I'm going to follow the shape, and you can see gradually it's building up. Can you see? It's gradually building up a shape, and I would add more and more until I'm happy with the height of my bird. For the white, if I'm doing a robin, I would give him a white belly, so I'd put that on the underbit like that. Now as I come round, I don't want suddenly this wool to explode everywhere, so in order to contain it, I'm just going to guide it with my finger. Now if I guided it with my thumb, that could be painful, so I'm going to guide it with the back of my index finger, so that if I slip, or even I can rub it up and down my nail and it doesn't hurt. It's a very handy little tip to avoid pricking yourself. So round you go, and you can get a nice neat line. So once you've done that and you've got the shape that you roughly want, I'm just doing approximately today just to show you the general technique, you would get your top coat of wool. Now this wool is going to be smoother than your core wool. Some have a little bit of a bounce in the same way. This one is a Shetland, for example, which does have a little bit of bounce, but it's a beautiful colour. Or you can use things that like a merino, which you can see is being dyed, so it is a full flat colour. Now the full flat colours are lovely. They're slightly more vibrant than the natural colours. So what you can do to make them more interesting is blend them. So I've got a bit of light brown and a bit of dark brown, and I'm going to pull them like that. And when I'm blending, especially merino, which is really, really beautifully soft, you have to pull it out at the ends and lay it down flat on top. Pull it out right at the ends and lay it down flat on top. What you don't want to be doing is trying to pull it apart in the middle, because it won't come, or pulling it over and turning it. Can you see? Because then I get a bend. And then as soon as I get a bend, you get a knot, and then you can't pull it out again. So pull it out until it's totally clear on top, like that. And you do that several times, and a few more for luck. And then you get a blended wool, which has a few more tones in it, so it's going to have a little bit of a natural look. So for this bird, I'm going to use actually my Shetland. And I want to put it over the head. And I've tucked it in. Then I'm going to go to my smaller needle, which is the 40 gauge, not the 38. The reason the needles go up in numbers like that, so the lower the number, the thicker the needle, which sounds counterintuitive. However, if you think about the number being the stretch that the metal is pulled out to, the length that the metal is stretched out to. So if it's stretched out to 40, the metal is going to be thinner, and if it's stretched out to only 38, the metal is going to be fatter. So that's how it works, and it makes sense once you know that. So this is how we cover over in our colour. So I would be using red there ultimately. But can you see it's just beginning to cover? If I did really big prods at this stage, I would be flattening my wool. And that's how you can make a flat picture. But I don't want to. I want my robin to have a head that's raised up and a tummy that looks as though it's full of berries. So I'm going to do just like this, gentle taps all the way around. So in this video, I'm just showing you the technique, not finishing touches and not how to make it artistically beautiful. This is just the basic technique, but this is how you would start off. So that's as far as we go on your initial stage. However, I've got two extra little bits of information to give you, which are, how would you do little balls like that and keep them neat? And how would you do the legs? So if I go to my black, which I would be using for my legs, if I try and get it on in a straight line like that, that's quite tricky. So just as a little tip, a little help, give it a twist first. Now, it's not going to stay, but hopefully the oil in your fingers or the lanolin from the wool that you've picked up gradually, you twist it and it gives it a bit of memory. I'm going to put in one end like that, so that's nice and firm. Then I'm going to twist once it's attached to the felt. Then I can position it, and it's popped out there, look, and go down. And you keep twisting. And that way you can get a thinner line. Now that is useful for doing things like plant stems, birds' legs, anything where you want a finer, neater line. How would you do the berries? You'd get some of your red wool, maybe blend it with a little bit of white wool, just roughly like that. So you're going to get a bit of texture in your berries. And then you're going to roll it between your fingers and your thumb, like that. You can make it as hard as you like or as loose as you like, but just having that little roll first makes it so much easier when you're putting it on. So I'm going to have the berry there, tempting the little bird. So pop it on, firm it in place, and round I go with some prods like that, just to prod it in place like that. And you can go round until it's the size you want. If you think, I use too much wool, I don't like that very much, you can go, oh, that's better, I'll try again. That's how felting is so much fun. It's so forgiving. You can take things off, change the angle, see where it looks best. It's not like painting in that once it's on, and then it's, you can't go back a step. With felting, you really can, which is why it's fantastic. I love felting, and I hope you will too. So there are just a few tips and hints to get you going, and an explanation of what you need in order to get going. If you need any more, then please look at libertiesfeltery.com, and there will be lots of other information to help you on your felting journey. Okie doke. I hope to see you there. Bye for now.